What's up?
Dr. Shannon will.
Hi. What's happening?
Not too much. How old are you?
27. I have to think about it.
You're young. I'm not used to calling someone that young a doctor.
That's true.
When
Well,
did
Dr. When I was 25.
so you get a doctor when you complete your PhD?
It's a doctorate in physical therapy.
Where'd you go for that?
I went to University of Maryland, Baltimore.
That's a nice school. I have a buddy who wrestles there.
Yeah. It's like right behind Orioles Stadium and Ravens Stadium over there.
hmm
So yeah.
Did,
How are you doing? Like, how's your photography going and all that good stuff?
Good. I decided I'm staying in Western PA. I like it here.
Yeah. I feel like you've always said you liked it there.
Yeah, I went back for one summer. That summer I met you, and it was just
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I remember you being like, "Oh, I definitely like it." What's the town that you're in?
Clarion.
Yeah, I feel like you definitely liked it there. You always talked about it. How are you doing though? How's the hip and everything?
It got better. Yeah, I was like I didn't work out for like 6 months. I couldn't really run
Yeah,
or lift or anything, and then
yeah.
I got into yoga.
I know that's really great. I love yoga.
Do you introduce yoga to a lot of your clients?
I do, and I've introduced more. I mean, I just feel like I recently got into yoga after I was running a lot and after I ran a marathon and then um I just wanted to take a load off of like my body from all that pounding. So the yoga, I did that for like the winter months and I just loved it. And then of course, like after you do something too, and experience it yourself more, then I was able to tell my patients even more. So I mean, I definitely recommend it. I mean, you're moving through positions that you're stabilizing in the whole time. So it's just so helpful.
Do you get like a lot of men who like sort of let their pride get in the way with yoga? Because when I recommend it, I notice men don't want to do it.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, boys and men, they're not open to it. They're like, ah, yeah, sure. And they don't really like fathom the idea. But then if they really, I feel like now that it's becoming more popular that,
Mhm.
professional athletes are getting into that and see the importance of it, it kind of trickles down to all different ages. So I think it's great when I have my male athletes asking me more about Pilates and yoga and healthy eating and all the other stuff, not just let me lift more
Mhm.
and, be as bulky as I can be. So I really love how they are almost doing their own research on it.
Yeah, I saw you're a Pilates instructor.
I used to be a Pilates instructor in Washington, D.C. And so I did a little bit of stuff like on my own and had some own clients, but I would love to get that back up and rolling. But honestly, it's great to have the Pilates background because it carries into everything I do as a PT, even just how to teach like the pelvic tilt and stuff that we went over,
Mhm.
like the pelvic dissociation, how to use like your rib cage and breathing. And I think all of it just goes so well with physical therapy.
Do you have to get like a certification to be a Pilates instructor? And how long does
You
that?
do. It's with Balanced Body. And I did level one and level two. And then you take like a certification course or like a teaching thing. And then you're able to teach after the certification. You're able to teach after level one. But I wanted to get both levels to just have the different movements. And then I taught that in the morning before I worked in DC.
Do you have like favorite athletes you like to work with, like specific sports or?
Goodness, favorite athletes. I don't know. I mean, I honestly I mean, in terms of my job, it's interesting to treat a whole variety instead of just one sport, because one sport you have similar injuries, right? So seeing all different types of people, female and males, all different backgrounds, different injuries kind of just, keeps me fresh because it's not like I'm only treating these and then a shoulder comes in and I'm like, oh, I haven't seen this in a while.
Mhm.
But I would have to say I think now I feel like I have a lot of football players, and in the beginning, they were like, "What does this like little girl have anything to teach me?" And it was challenging at first to be like, "No, I have a lot to offer, and I can really educate you on your body and lifting. And even though I can't lift the same amount, I have a lot of knowledge to offer in that field." And so I've become really close with my football athletes. So which is totally different than what I did. And it's not even like I played that sport growing up, but it just shows that, I can offer them something that they see benefit in.
Right. Did you hear about the wrestler from Iowa? He won. Division One nationals on a torn ACL.
Did he really?
He tore his other one last year, then he tore his left one this year, but didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Went through and won
And
it.
didn't tell anyone and won it. Damn. I mean, honestly, there is a lot of people that have, partially torn or full torn ACLs and they strengthen around it and they use their muscles to have that stability. I mean, obviously the ligaments in the knee are providing that end range stability. And then that's what, is torn when the body goes a certain way. But I mean, that just shows you how strong the body can be. And wrestling, I mean, that like you're twisted in all different angles more than any other sport. It's crazy.
Yeah, wrestlers get their bodies are really like fucked up. You kind of have to be
Yeah.
careful.
I
Yeah.
was working with the Maryland wrestling team when I was younger in college.
Mhm.
And my brother and my guy friends never really played wrestling growing up, so I didn't know much about it. But that was my favorite thing in college is being with the men's wrestling team at Maryland because they were like the coolest dudes, all different sizes. They like taught and like even just learning about how they like you know like shredding weight and stuff before things like it was just a whole different life. It was crazy, but I mean they're like they work out in just I mean they're so muscular in so many different ways and their endurance and their strength is different than any other athlete, and I thought that was really interesting.
Wrestling is like nobody on the outside world knows about it, but once
Hmm.
you're in it, it's such a big world. So many different people. It could be like this shredded dude, but he could lose
Yeah.
to a dude with a dad bod. Because wrestling,
Yeah, exactly.
there's so many different kinds of wrestlers out there, and it's my favorite sport, obviously. But
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So what are you getting into now other than yoga?
well, I started sort of. So I tried all kind. I should stop wrestling. I've been trying all different kinds of workouts. I know
Yeah.
I wanted, and I gained a bunch of weight a few years ago
Right.
during COVID. I just like figuring out what I wanted to do, and I'm like, I really just like to lift heavy. So I started
Hmm.
taking powerlifting more serious, kind of. And right now, like I lost since last summer, I've lost 30 pounds, and like
Wow.
I'm almost 2 times stronger because
Right.
I cut off running. I would try to run and then lift, but then I would quit running because I hate it, and then
So you're just doing more strictly powerlifting and yoga right now?
yeah, powerlifting, yoga, and then I think
Yeah.
I'm gonna get back into running because I became friends with an Ironman runner.
There you go.
He,
He's,
he stayed
he's
by me.
kicking your butt.
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna start running. Just it just motivates me. But I really those Nike powerlifting shoes make a huge difference.
Nike powerlifting shoes. I got to look into those.
Like the ones with the where is
Do
it?
you have them?
It's right here. I think. Where is it?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. So they sort of like come up on the heel. They
Mm,
feel
yeah,
flat.
yeah. The heel.
Yeah, awesome.
Those look intense, actually. That's nice to find a shoe that you feel comfortable lifting in, though.
Huge. Let me start.
What do you think about the no? It's like the no bull shoes.
The what?
You heard of them? It's like no bull.
What are they?
I think it's another type of powerlifting shoe that has that kind of flatter bottom and the elevated heel, but I see a lot of people in those too.
Yeah, this it just feels completely different in my squats.
Hmm.
But other than that, yeah, I still hate deadlifting. I'll do like
It's good for
225.
your hip. You need that for your hip, though.
I get PTSD. I can't work out when I deadlift. I don't know why, but it's like it feels weird.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that I feel like when you talked about like what's your favorite athlete or like people to treat, I definitely love teaching people how to deadlift and do RDLs and focus on their hamstrings and their glutes because I feel like a lot of exercises are quad based, like squats and lunges and sumo squats. I think like your typical like even at home workouts are a little bit more quad based. So I love being able to teach people how to feel where their glutes are, and then like even that band workout I make you do, like just firing up the glutes and then also loading them and strengthening the glutes, the hamstrings, that whole posterior chain is really important for your hips and your low back too. So that's something that I enjoy teaching people because I don't think they see the importance of it as much.
I'm just scared to go heavy. I lift heavier on my bench than I do my deadlift. It just scares me because I'm gonna pull my groin one time.
Yeah, or like your low back or something like that. I mean, and that's the thing, you don't have to go super heavy. Like even, two 30-pound kettlebells doing an RDL for you, you're still going to feel sore the next day because you're having that eccentric load. So just start where you're comfortable and get the form down and then slowly go up after that. I feel like we always have to think, oh, I'm not going to do it because I'm not doing it heavy. But
Mhm.
I mean, you even feel it when you're doing, a good morning, like with good form with a band. So then just slowly loading up after that, you'll feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I don't like to, but like I watch lifters get hurt,
Oh
and
gosh, and all those those Instagrams.
yeah, it makes me want to practice safety so much more.
I agree with that. I mean, and there's some freak accidents, and definitely the
Yeah.
ones on Instagram. You're like, oh my gosh, like that, like I did not deserve that.
But if I can prevent it from
Hmm.
happening, I'm gonna try. Like everything's not perfect form, but I try my best.
Yeah, a little bit of awareness with it, at least.
I wear a belt when I squat. I wear knee sleeves now. Don't knee sleeves like protect the joints of your knees?
So I feel like knee sleeves and the squatting belt, like it's definitely great if you're going super heavy and providing some of that support, but at the same time, I also kind of think of it as like a crutch. Like I would like to strengthen you enough that you don't have to rely on that. I think the knee sleeves are great for people that have that instability in their knee and need a little bit of extra support. But if you step on that knee and it's not stable, the brace or the sleeve's not going to do much. It's like wearing a sock. So I think it's more like a mental thing with the sleeves than honestly just a lot of protection. But that I would like to like I tell my patients I want to strengthen to the point that you don't feel like you need to always have that on you, and you feel self conscious if it's not on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't put it on until so when I'm squatting, I won't put it on until after 225. So
Yeah, and I think that's okay too. I think a lot of like bodybuilders and heavy power lifters wear the belt for that extra support. And then also just the main thing for you and the main thing with the bodybuilders that I treat too is teaching them about form and especially at that lowest point of the squat, where you're about you all the way down and then you're about to come back up and that just kind of dip point and focusing on that pelvic awareness we talked about and that core recruitment just a little bit in the bottom will also help with that stability and not hinging right at like kind of that butt winking area. So it's harder to do at heavier loads, but establish that base every single time you squat.
hmm practicing safety actually saved me last week because I'm so
What
used to
happened?
it. I was doing box squats
Yeah.
with a squat bar, but it comes like down, so the weight's like down here, but the bar's up here, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It moves. So I did a
Is it
box.
with a band? Is it like a barbell with the bands on the side?
No, it's just one barbell, and the barbell
Oh,
keeps
with the weights. And then comes
uh,
down. Yeah.
and it'll swing sometimes. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Did a box
Oh,
squat
and it
that,
was,
and it started swinging, so I couldn't get up. Like the momentum was
yeah.
bringing me back, but I just
Yeah.
stood still. I didn't freak out. I stood still, waited for it to stop swinging, and then I came up
Yeah.
pretty easily.
I mean, it's also good that you had the box there in case you needed to sit down. So I mean it is a little bit easier box squatting just because you're tapping that and then coming back up. So I always say like don't like plop on the box. But I do like even with my female athletes, like I love teaching them how to set up the squat rack. Cause sometimes like at college, like me at college at Maryland, I walked in and I was like, all the guys are over it's like a freaking middle school dance. It's like all the guys are over here, the girls are by like the dumbbells and like all the machines. And I feel like I would like go over and like lift like here and there, but like you just don't really know what to do with the squat rack. So I love teaching my female, like even high school and college athletes more about lifting. Now female athletes are lifting more with their strength coaches at college, but especially in high school. In high school, I never was taught, anything about lifting. Like the things I looked up on like Pinterest or something is what I did at the gym. So to be able to walk up to the squat rack and be like, hey, this is how you do the clips, the safety bars, and then put a box here because I even your girlfriend behind you isn't going to be able to bicep curl it up to be if it's too heavy. So I was like, always have something there because in one rep, if you're sitting there for a while, you can stand it back up and rack it again. So it's definitely teaching about safety because you don't want injuries to happen when it's something stupid that you could have prevented, honestly.
One thing that freaks me out, and I know you notice this, a lot of people like to set up the squat rack where they have to
Hmm.
stand on their tippy toes to take it off. I don't
I
know if
know. I don't understand that.
they can't just bring it down one.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people like put it like right where your shoulder is, which is like typically where you put it, but I always put it one more down because I'd rather you walk in and just have to drop a little bit rather than pick it like shoulder shrug it up.
Pull your calf
Um,
muscles during the squat or something.
yeah, because at the last second you're like, just get this thing off my back. So I always just say like bang into it and look, and then drop it.
Yeah, I make sure I can just like lean forward because I use the
Like
one
just lean forward.
I get up and then the one that just moves automatically, the rack, it just moves back.
Yeah,
So I use
yeah.
that.
All these injuries in the gym.
Yeah. So rewinding back, what sports did you
Okay.
do when you were younger?
I played soccer, lacrosse, a little bit of volleyball. But my main sport was soccer. And then I played a little club soccer at Maryland. And then I ended up getting a job actually as a waitress instead of making some money. And then I didn't play any sports in college, just did some intramural stuff. And then in college, I worked with all 4 years, I worked with a different sports team. So I was first with wrestling, women's lacrosse, and field hockey. And then I went to men's lacrosse and then men's soccer. So I just kind of like bounced and like track and field and baseball here and there. And then I was mostly with men's soccer my junior and part of my senior year.
I feel like soccer is that one sport where like women like trump over men. You know what I mean?
what,
I feel
what do
like
you mean women trump over men?
I feel like women's soccer players are just tougher than men's soccer players. Or like it's regular to see them as tougher
Right,
than men's soccer players.
right. I mean, I guess with women and men's soccer, it's more of a similar game, I would say. I mean, there's always differences with men's and women's lacrosse. No, but I mean, I was mainly with the men's soccer team. I definitely knew a lot of girls on the women's team, but I think soccer is like really diverse because it's all over the world.
Mhm.
So instead of like, lacrosse just being on the East Coast, like the men's soccer team had so many different types of people and races and different backgrounds. And it was just a great mix of people that all came together and just shared their, cultural backgrounds. And so I just feel like being in the locker room, like even just like everybody was like dancing and like just different music and like it was a really good team that I was a part of there.
Yeah, soccer is like that one sport where like I mean obviously I respect all sports, but like it's
Hmm.
people tend to not respect women for some reason, but soccer is the one sport where it's like women are respected. I think it's because of our US
Oh
national
yeah.
team. They're
Yes,
pretty
that's true.
bad.
That's true. Yeah, and I think women are, thankfully being more and more respected,
Mhm.
every year, they're getting, I mean, unfortunately, I'm kind of upset with that one ESPN thing that came out where the women's strength room for
Mm.
the the basketball, like their strength, like it's like for March Madness was just like it's just such a difference. And I feel like there still is this disconnect of like, okay, women need the same resources as men. They use the same equipment, like basketball and basketball. Why are they not treated the same? So that was kind of eye-opening to see. So I definitely am all for, more respect and equality in sports for women.
Yeah, I saw that. That was just like such an over exaggeration. Like
Yeah.
maybe saying, like it was just and like some of my friends are like, why are they complaining? They don't lift. I'm like, come on,
Right.
man.
And that's the unfortunately there's people that think that too. And those people that think that are the people that put that into place for the March Madness thing. So I'm sure that got a lot of press on that, and it should. And it should. And I love the video how it was like, all right, well, this is what happened, and this was definitely a lie because we have the space in the room for it. So I think it just brought light to like, we're still trying to progress and change and move forward. And people should kind of put that on blast like that and just be like, hey, this is the behind the scenes of what's happening.
Yeah, I can't stand for that. Like I noticed a lot of the guys around me like try to like act tough about it, but I just can't agree with it. It was insane. So, all right, coming from high school to college, what made you want to get into physical therapy?
So physical therapy, actually, in high school, I had a friend that tore his ACL, and I went to a like one of the physical therapy treatments, and I remember sitting on the treat like in a chair next to the treatment mat, and this person sat down, and she was very intelligent, obviously, and she had her doctorate, and she was so knowledgeable, but then she was like super chill and just like hanging out with us, like talking talking shit, like whatever. And so I just remember being like, what is this job? Like, it's cool how you're dealing with injuries, you're dealing with athletes, but at the same time, you're super knowledgeable about the body and the muscles. And so from that moment, I was like, okay, like I definitely was like really good at math and sciences, and interested in like muscles and how the body works. So from then on, I just kind of like continued on that path of kind of like human anatomy and kinesiology in college. And then I was like, this just seems like a perfect fit for me. So I was lucky that I kind of knew what I wanted to do going into probably my freshman year, compared to, other people that have more of a broad aspect. But I think it just fit with my background and my personality. And just like, honestly, like even myself as an athlete, like, I was a decent athlete, but I also am just kind of like, athletic at different types of sports. So it's great that I can bring that into my treatments and be able to be like, okay, yeah, I know how to swing a golf club, I know how to throw a football, but like you're better at it than me, but I can still, kind of talk the language a little bit too. And I think that's nice, especially as a female PT, because you have to prove yourself.
Mm-hmm. Do you find yourself like studying the sports from like an athlete's perspective?
I honestly have conversations with my athletes about some of the drills that they do. I tell them to send me, day one, I obviously ask their position and, the demands of that. But, every sport you're cutting, you're doing agility, you're the base movement of that squat or that single leg squat is the same. So building and that strength and that foundational movement pattern is important. And then getting more sport specific and adding the ball into the exercise, or just getting creative with exercises to keep them motivated. Because honestly, like, if I did the same exercise every time someone come in, they're never going to come back to me. So
Mm-hmm.
making sure that I can still, create that muscle balance between, both sides of the body, and also keep them engaged in the sport by just bringing, the soccer ball into it, the football into it, and getting creative with it is really important. Um, excuse me. But I think that, ooh, hold on. What was I gonna say? Oh, but I think it's all about conversation too. I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what an entire football season practice drills, everything looks like, and all the names of it. So I'm like, all right, show me that. Show me that, and then I'm just like, I'm going to break it down, because you show me a movement, I'm going to break it down. And they're like, I have pain in this cut, or, when I turn here, or when I plant off this foot. And I'm like, okay, so then, and then I see the movement, I see where they're having pain. And then I know how to break it down and what muscles are being used. So I think it's more just about conversation with your patient and just being like, okay, talk to me about this. Send me this YouTube video. I'm like, all right, look it up real quick. I want to see what the whole team does in this circumstance and what you need to pay attention about, not just you, but the teammate, your teammates, the opponents, where the ball is, and kind of see what they're seeing. And then also, like, I like to have, just with you, like, I have your number and stuff like that. And it's just nice to be like, kind of check in with people and like, hey, how you feeling? How was practice today? How was that game? And, giving me that feedback, and checking in with the patient too, knowing that you care about them. And then also I tell them like, hey, have your teammates film you sometimes if there's something that we're dealing with and you're having pain with, in here, and we're trying to progress with it. Have someone film you real quick, send it to me. I'll go over it before our next treatment, and then we'll address it from there.
Right. Yeah. I feel like I do photography for a lot of athletes. And I feel like it's like just fair to like for me to understand the sport, because I
Hmm.
don't want to represent that sport in the wrong way.
Right. Exactly.
I feel like anyone who's working with a sport or with athletes needs to take the time to understand it.
Hmm.
It's just fair. I think it's more of like a respect thing.
Oh, I totally
I
agree.
mean, it's like
And I,
I'm still biased towards wrestling, but
mhm.
I still want to know about every sport now that I'm working with all of them.
Yeah, I definitely think it's just about, it's just like when you come in, I'm giving that full attention to you in that one-on-one time. And I think I can learn, like, just how you can learn from me, I can learn from you,
Mhm.
at any, at any level. So I think just having that conversation and asking questions, and, and obviously with clinical experience too, and my background, I have a good background in these different sports. So that's great. I have that base, but also like you have individual experiences within your sport, and it's all about just communicating about those situations and like creating an open environment where they share those, sometimes their fears about it.
Mhm. So you said you ran a marathon. How
Hmm.
was your recovery after?
So I actually signed. I didn't really know if I wanted to run a marathon, honestly, or not. But I had a lot of runners coming into me, and
Mhm.
actually at the location that you were at the same time I was treating you, I was treating another patient that was running a 50 miler, and I was like, oh my god, how the heck do you run 50 miles? And so I was like, you know what? I just want to prove to myself that I can run a marathon and not get hurt and just be able to, or if I do get hurt, then how do I treat it and still be able to run, or what do I do about it? And kind of like trial and error, like like a little like case study on myself, honestly. So I looked up the Marine Corps marathon in DC, signed up for it, a couple $100, and then like so it came to my email as like confirmation. I was like, oh crap, and I was like, I got to do this. So I mean, I definitely liked running before that, but I only was kind of running like probably 6 miles, just like kind of leisurely. So I definitely enjoyed the training process. And honestly, as a PT, I kind of looked up a lot of different programs and found one. I kind of combined all the ones and like my thoughts into one. And then also, honestly, I did a lot of cross training. So I ran probably 3 to 4 times a week, or 3 times a week, a long run on the weekends. And then in between, I did yoga probably once or twice a week. I also did lifting twice a week. So I was always doing something. And then I also had, maybe like an active rest day or a full rest day too. And I was still enjoying my social life and stuff too. I was just planning around it. So, and honestly, like I'm my only goal was just I didn't want to walk, and I actually had a great time. And it was actually pouring down rain that day, like
Oh, wow.
torrential downpour, which was crazy. But the recovery process was, honestly, I was used to the demand on my muscles. Like I definitely think I was sore afterwards, just because it was just all that pounding over time. And that's why, you know after that day I didn't run for like 4 months, because I was just doing yoga and doing different movements. So I mean, I think it's great that you, like, even with yourself, like you're doing powerlifting, and you might get into something else later, and you're into yoga and stuff too. So it's great to just challenge the body in different ways. But recovery wise, it was just water and electrolytes, Gatorade, and I had brisket mac and cheese afterwards, and that was my recovery.
Yeah, there's this girl named, have you heard of Courtney Dauwalter?
No, who's that?
Well, the Moab 240 is a 240-mile race, and
240-mile race.
yeah, it's
What's
co-ed.
that?
Anybody can join. She won
Yeah.
it. She beat the males and everything by
Oh
21
my
miles.
gosh.
She won by
240 miles,
she
and she
won
won by 20
21
miles.
miles, 10
Oh
hours.
my God, that's insane.
She's like this small girl who's so normal. Like
Yeah.
she was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and like she doesn't really
Mm,
diet or anything. She just kind of trains, and she doesn't stretch.
yeah, I like Joe Rogan. Oh, so about stretching, that's interesting. No, and back to the runners. I mean, you could be, especially with her body type and stuff. I mean, you could be. I mean, I think anyone can get into running. I mean, obviously, like the elite athletes have you know, that kind of physical look to them as runners, very lean. That's why they're so fast. But it's interesting that she said she doesn't stretch at all.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
she. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say I didn't. I did not do much stretching. I have to say I did do foam rolling afterwards.
Mhm.
That really helped me because it just kind of got the superficial tightness down. I had my coworkers do a little bit of needling on like my glutes, my hamstrings, and my quads, which really helped too, because I think that helps just decrease the tension in the muscle. But I have to say, I think more of a dynamic warm up when you're running is great. Like even just high knees, side steps, butt kickers, like like a lunge to like a step up type of motion, just something to get the body warm. Um, and then, or like some pogo type movement, and then getting into your run. And then afterwards, I definitely think just even just walking before you just like run right to your front door and sit down on the couch. So even just walking a couple blocks, and then foam rolling afterwards, and doing some dynamic stretching at the end too. It's not just like holding your leg up and stretching your hamstring for 30 seconds. There's really no research benefit to that. So more of that kind of moving within the stretches is a little bit better idea. More of like grabbing behind the knee and kind of kicking your foot up and down, and like it's called like flossing the hamstring and moving in and out of it instead of just holding it statically. So I definitely get why she's saying that, because I do think recovery is super important. I think it's kind of different for everybody, but also there is a lot of research out there, but that static stretching before your event decreases performance.
Yeah, she said after that race, she was back to running like 4 days later.
Yeah, I mean, her body just is crazy. That's awesome, though. I want to look up that podcast with Joe Rogan too.
I'll send
I
it to
like him.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do like static. I squat 4 days a week. So Monday,
Hmm.
Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
But I do static stretching before. I probably shouldn't do that, right?
I
Or
wouldn't do static stretching before. I would do more of a dynamic warm up, and I can kind of show you one afterwards too. But I mean, just like I said, just kind of moving him. I mean, you could do like body weight squats. I love that. Like just body weight squats, like up and down. You could put the jump band on your back and do body weight squats. You could do the jump band like you're standing on it and then it's on your shoulders and do more of like a good morning too. Even though you're doing squatting, you can still like activate those hamstrings and those glutes in that fashion. Um, I mean, it's just like whatever movement you're doing, kind of warm up with it without weight and just move in and out of it. So it's just think about like moving into it, holding for like 5, 10 seconds, moving out of it. And you're going to get a little bit more mobility that way and warm the body up. And so you also can warm up by doing a little bit of like, 5 minutes on the like assault bike type of thing.
Mhm.
Just like general, cardiovascular endurance and getting the blood flow to the muscles.
I'll try that tomorrow. I,
Yeah.
I started waking up at 4 every morning to lift.
No way. I love that. I love the early morning workouts. I'm all about that.
Um,
I feel like by the end of the day, I just feel like I'm not there yet.
yeah, I, I think it's just more to like try to train my mind.
So you get up at 4 and then you go to the gym and then you go to work after that.
Yeah,
Yeah. How long are you in the gym for? Like an hour?
I get there at 5
Yeah.
usually, and then I'm there till about my workout's like an hour and a half. But I get there at
Hmm.
5. I probably won't start squatting till like 5:20, 5:30. I warm up a little,
Yeah.
do some stretching, but I would say
Yeah.
about an
Kind
hour
of do your
and
thing.
a half.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, whenever, honestly, it's all about just being there. Like, you're going to have benefits by just getting up and being there. And some days we all don't want to do it, but just being consistent. A lot of people, are like headstrong for 2 weeks and they're like, great, I've worked out every day for 2 weeks, but then they fall off of it again. So I'm like, you know what, be a little bit more consistent. Go 2 to 3 times a week in the beginning, and establish that base where you're going Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and doing something active on the weekends, like hiking or biking or walking outside. So I like to tell people, establish that schedule because habits are super important. Like healthy habits are important, and then also like just realize that it doesn't always have to be, you have to lift. It can be I'm hiking with my family, I'm playing tennis, with my dad, I'm going on a bike ride. So like every single day, like I'm moving my body. And honestly, it's a little bit I feel like I definitely love the lift days because I look forward to it now. Because I do supplement it with other types of exercises too.
Yeah, I noticed that consistency has been like big problem. Once I stopped
Yeah.
wrestling, it's just like everything. I was like, all right, I'm good. And then I
Hmm.
realized the downfall from not being consistent. And
Yeah, I definitely think. What'd you say?
you don't really notice it. It like becomes normal, and then all
Right, and then it's
all of a
not
sudden it's
there.
bad bod. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I definitely think I talked to a lot of my post-college athletes. Like their routine is just all out of whack, honestly. And I mean, they miss the sport. They probably miss their teammates the most. Um, they miss like the people, obviously, after college, like we all do. But I definitely think they don't have somebody telling them what to do. Like to work out just to be fit, it like is seems miserable to them. And I totally agree. I'm like, trust me, I've gone through this after I stopped high school sports, and after college had such a great routine and such great coaches and mentors, and now you're coming off of that and being like, okay, how do I just stay active and fit and happy? And so I definitely think there's a huge transition, with kind of more into like the working world and finding time and finding that fitness and health is still a priority, and so is exercise.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out, but just like, I
So
don't know.
what are you doing working with all the different teams? Is your photography on the side? And then what are you doing with the different teams?
I guess right now, yeah, my main source of income is a car. I'm a car salesman, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I see them sort of as equal. I make more money as a car salesman,
Right.
but yeah, with the sports team is sort of just for fun because I only like hanging around athletes. It's kind of weird. It's not weird, but
I mean, you just have that connection with them, which is good.
yeah, and that yeah, I feel like just other people are just kind of boring, but I don't know. Not like even if they played a sport in the past, like I just like
Yeah.
people who understand sports. Those are really the only people that I like.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that I mean, you find common interests with people and then you kind of go from there, you know? And I feel like even with guys too, sometimes sports comes up a little bit earlier of like what to talk about. So I
Mhm.
feel like that's, with girls it's, we talk about other things, I guess. I don't know. But no, I do agree with that. You just find those commonalities between friends.
And like when I'm around like parents and their kids, I'm like, so when are your kids gonna start wrestling or something? That's all I say. Anybody with kids, try to get them into wrestling.
I know. That's so funny to think about. And I mean, I was actually talking to my boyfriend about this today because we were talking. There was a commercial on the TV, and it was basketball players. I forget what team it was, and they were golfing, and their golf swings were miserable. I don't even know what team it was. And we were talking about like how can you be so athletic at one sport, but then like their golf swing is like it's like they've never seen somebody swing a golf club before, and
Mhm.
it's just so funny. So we were just talking about that today, and like and thinking about, and we were talking about how like as kids, I'm thankful that like my parents like, and having a brother, like I was taught, how to like do a golf swing or skateboard or throw a football and stuff like that. So I'm thankful I had that like motor patterns when I was younger because now I can pick it up and at least be decent at it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. It's funny. We just had that conversation today.
Yeah, some of the best wrestlers I've ever met. If you watched them play any other sport, you would never guess that
Mhm.
they're an amazing wrestler because they look
If
so
you
like
they work are they unathletic?
yeah, like some of them can't catch a ball to save their lives.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like a great wrestler, but I can't. And like watching them play basketball is the most hilarious thing ever. You never
Yeah, I
get.
have to say I'm not very good at basketball, but that I mean it's funny. It's not because it's you really start to be like more sports specific.
Mhm.
Um yeah, obviously in your sport and like your skill set, but it's just so fun. Like I that commercial today on March Madness when they were swinging the golf clubs was like hilarious though. It was probably so fun. They were at like Top Golf or something like that.
Yeah, basketball's the one sport I just can't get into. I don't know what it is.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I've definitely liked it more recently and watching it. Probably because I treat more basketball players right now.
Yeah, I have like friends who play basketball, but I just can't. I'll try to take like I understand it for the most part, but I start
Yeah,
watching it and my head just kind of goes the other way.
can't get into it. Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe I really other than wrestling, I like the
Yeah.
UFC. I like one-on-one sports. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah, the one-on-one sports. No, that's definitely interesting.
I feel like they
I
teach you.
mean, you like that because you had wrestling too. It was like a team but individual.
Yeah, I feel like they teach you lessons that team sports can't.
Yeah, that's definitely true. What did you learn, you think, as an individual wrestler compared to other people that might have missed out on that?
Sort of just like no, like obviously I still find myself making excuses, but for the most part,
Hmm.
there you can't say, "Hey, that wide receiver missed the catch, so that's why we lost." It was like you,
Right.
you're the reason you lost. Doesn't matter who was around you. You were physically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's video evidence that you're the reason that you lost, and you can't make that excuse. So I like talking to
Yeah,
how
that's interesting. Yeah. You can't blame it on anybody else
you realize you
other than yourself.
yeah you know this mainly in high school athletes they tend to want to put
Hmm.
the blame on someone else, but in
Right.
wrestling there is no blame you can put on anyone.
Yeah, that's an important thing to like coach people on too. Like I know we say like there's no I in team, but individually you can still take responsibility for, your successes and failures too and how to be a better athlete.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna put my kids in team sports one day, but I want them to pursue individual like
Wrestling.
wrestling.
Yeah. I definitely think that, and I was reading about this too, is that coaches value athletes that come from, like they look for people that are also like multi-sport athletes too, and that more of that well-rounded athlete. And I definitely agree with that. I know at some point, like you start, your club team and things like that. Like, and I had my school team and club team and rec team, like with soccer and stuff, as you get like more advanced in high school. But I definitely played other sports too. But I definitely think in terms of injury prevention, you're strengthening different muscles throughout all three different seasons. And so it leads to less injuries because you're not overusing a certain muscle group, and then you're also strengthening different muscles in the different sports.
Yeah. Oh, definitely so important because people like just like if they just jump into a sport, they don't know what they're doing.
Hmm.
Like you jump into football, you're trying to tackle someone up top, and then they just hit you. You can get seriously injured. But a wrestler,
Right.
doesn't matter who's coming at him. If he's bigger than him, he's probably gonna know what to do as long as he's a decent wrestler.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
But that's what I wanna understand how to coach people who
Hmm.
are either really young or just don't know what they're doing because it's really easy to coach a high level athlete. But I want to learn how to teach.
Yeah.
Have you taught people who don't have like a huge understanding for sports?
Definitely. I mean, there's some people that come in that are, I'm like, I don't even know, you don't even know where your body is right now. It's just so unaware, like their body awareness is just so poor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and no one's ever taken the time to show them, like, this is how we bend, this is how we squat, this is how you sit into a chair without hurting yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some movements I'm just like, ooh, like I know why you're injured, right? So I definitely think those are the most challenging patients because and kind of like what you said too, some patients haven't played sports or haven't had other coaches, giving them some education. It's not all just from your parents, right? You have different mentors like growing up, and I think coaches are a great example of that, and they educate you in different ways, like different values, and also about movement and exercise and stuff. So I definitely think it's interesting when I have like a younger athlete or a younger just patient in general that I can kind of mold and form and like educate them. And I think in terms of like how young kids are, as soon as they can start just kind of like respecting you and listening to you, and then they can take something and I can be like, keep your shoulders back or something, and then they do it. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely see carryover, and I think that then they can come to physical therapy and do exercise. They can go to the gym and do exercise. So it's all about just knowing, like, safety with your body too, with the younger generation.
Yeah, I feel like it's really important to like teach them and have the knowledge of the sport. I remember one time before I started wrestling, I was really big into baseball. We had a
Hmm.
pretty good team. It was like I was like 12, and they just bring this kid on the team. I didn't know he never played before, but they just bring him on to practice, and I'm in the outfield.
Hmm.
The ball comes to me, and he's playing shortstop, probably the most advanced position. But not, I had no,
Yeah.
and I just launched the ball at him because he's supposed to throw at him. His
Right. And you
face,
didn't catch it.
blood all over the sand, and he never played baseball again. But
He ruins his career.
they just throw him in a position, and like they just throw him there and never have teach them. Like I think it's
Yeah.
important to get like beat up in whatever sport you have to learn that way. But
But not like that.
yeah, it's really important to teach them.
That's so
Well,
funny. So I used to play softball in elementary school. I remember like fifth grade, I had this really bad habit of, like, I would swing the bat and then I would follow through, and instead of just like gently putting it down, I would swing it behind me and just like continue my follow through or whatever. And the bat hit the umpire's shins. Like, it was so, like, it was hard, and then like went back, and like the metal bat hit the umpire, and he like screamed and like went on the ground, and I like, didn't even get to first base. I was just crying, and I was like awkwardly walking. It was a really good hit. And then the next day I told my dad, I was like, I'm not playing softball anymore. And that was the end of that.
yeah, I feel like teaching the basics. Like I started kind of coaching high school wrestlers.
Yeah.
I notice if you just teach them the basics slowly, they start to understand it more.
Yes,
Because people
definitely.
they
So
like to jump in. I mean, yeah, getting beat up is very important, but I don't know.
I mean,
Being a coach is like truly a skill that you have to
I
learn.
would, yeah, I would love to. I love my job that I get to like educate people, and I can't wait till honestly when I have kids to just, have fun with it and be a coach of like, little kids like soccer team or something like that and just be like that mentor to people because I think that's so important. And you always look back and remember those coaches that made a difference in your life, like probably like middle school and high school coaches, when
Mhm.
you're like more intense with the sport, but they also like you look up to them. So I'm excited to get like more involved with that. Um, I don't know, but coach is definitely like is such a, and that's why I like connecting with coaches too. Like even if my patient, they're like, oh, like my coach was wondering where I'm going in PT or whatever, I always like tell them like, text them my number or, if they're open to it, like I text them and I'm just like, hey, I'm Shannon. Um, I'm, Ashby's sports physical therapist here at Impact. If you have any questions, like let me know, like just to touch base. And then honestly, there is always a conversation after that. And the referrals come from that, and obviously it's like business too, but I think like making that connection and making the effort with somebody or their doctor or just like the team in general, it makes like it's just such a well-rounded experience for that patient and their family. So I love connecting with coaches because they have a lot of insight also.
Yeah, and you can just like, for the most part, you could talk to the coach and then tell if they have a good team or not. I noticed
Yeah,
good
exactly.
coaches just talk different.
Yeah, I actually had a patient that she was in between the volley, like the coach called and it was about her injury and she called and was asking me whether to put her on JV or varsity. And I had to let her know like how, hardworking that she was in here. And, obviously we talked about her pain and like injury
Mhm.
prevention and stuff like that. But I was like, just give her a chance because she's been in here kicking her butt. And just really has the discipline compared to other kids. And she got on varsity, which is great. But I mean, sometimes, you have to provide that info. I love being able to provide that information to, have her succeed and then for her to ultimately have to prove it to her coach. But I mean, I definitely, said all the things that you know, I, I thought very positive of the experience I had with her as a patient and for the coach to call multiple times regarding like her position. It was cool. It was cool to be a part of.
Yeah, these good coaches are really active with their athletes.
Yeah, totally. It's like, and also it's just even more, I mean, it's a good thing and a bad, I don't know. Like, I just feel like high school sports are definitely being like more and more, becoming more and more intense from
Hmm.
like when I look back on it, it was more of something fun. And now it's like everyone's, you know, only playing one sport so they can be the best at it.
Hmm.
And, it's all about colleges and stuff like that. So I think it's awesome that sports is like, definitely more of a highlight, but also it puts a lot of pressure on kids, I think too, because I mean, obviously, like you've seen what I work with, like people come in with an injury and it ends their career, not their whole career because I want to get them back on the field, but that's what they think though. Like
Yeah.
this is going to end my high school career, or it's my junior year and I'm playing football and I'm supposed to be recruited, and now these big colleges aren't gonna look at me. So I definitely go through like a lot of emotional, like I feel like I'm there for my patients just to listen to them, honestly, listen and just comfort them and just know that like, this is going to be an emotional process because there's a lot. An injury is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and social too. So I think like it's important to just be on day one, be like, hey, like, things are going to come up, be open with me and we're going to get through them together because getting them back out on the field is like their number one goal, but also just knowing that they might have timing wise miss some opportunities, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I noticed that. Obviously, I'm only like involved in wrestling. I don't like to
Hmm.
talk about other sports because I don't know about them, but I'm noticing that like wrestlers are only getting tougher. A lot of people like to complain about the new generations, like saying they're lazy, but they're only getting better and better and better. And
I
like
was gonna say they're getting better too.
back then, like they a lot of people would look forward to like being on JV and learning, but people don't even want a JV
Right.
team anymore.
Hmm.
And all of these good freshmen are starting on varsity and they're team captains, but
Right.
kind of awesome to
Yeah.
see young kids doing well.
Yeah, and I think that I'm hoping that younger kids are taking advantage of all the opportunities because with social media, you can look on Instagram and you know, follow 20 people that you look up to. and like filling your social media feed with something that's more positive. Obviously with your friends and stuff, but something that like, you're going for these goals and just following those people that, that show that every single day. And then also, with the internet and stuff, like they can research, sports physical therapy around them. They can go to a sports trainer. They, can talk to their parents about it. So, I mean, there's so much out there that I hope that they're getting better just because they are more educated because there's more information. But also I hope there's not like a lot of misinformation too.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I definitely see that the kids are definitely more skilled and kind of going into one sport instead of that multi-sport
Mhm.
3-season athlete. And I don't know how I feel about that, like kind of pigeonholing right away.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously want to do your research about the person, but on YouTube, there's a lot of people who teach. There are some
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
who misinform, but there are some really knowledgeable people,
Oh, totally.
and like
There's so much good information out there.
yeah, there's this young high school wrestler here who complains about he's 17 saying he has bad
Yeah,
knees, whatever. I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah, I was like, there's this cool thing called YouTube. Search up how to fix that and search up how to not be sore because you're 17. Like
right,
you could push
right.
through soreness, but you can do things like search up
Yeah,
yoga for wrestlers. I'm sure you could find that. Like
right.
there's
And I
so
mean,
much.
I have so many people that come into me and they're like, I've already looked online, I've already tried this stuff. And that's good. They should like, I mean, obviously I don't want people diagnosing themselves on whatever it's called, the medical what's that medical website called?
Uh,
I want
I
to
don't
say
know.
Web PT. That's literally my like my billing company. What's the thing where people search what they have on Google?
Um, I gotta look this up now. It's called website
Look that up. Like it's called, isn't it Web something?
WebMD, right?
WebMD. That's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Like they come in, they're like, well, WebMD told me I have this or this or this, and I'm like, I don't think you have exactly that. Like not all of your symptoms, attribute to this huge type of diagnosis. But I mean, I think there's a lot of information, but I think people can get kind of scared too because on the internet sometimes it goes to like the worst thing possible. But I do think like you can look up your typical physical therapy exercises or things that might help your knee and try that out. And some people need a little bit of more of the dynamic stretching maybe will help them, or how to use a foam roller, or this is like how to squat and this will help your knee pain by using your glutes a little bit more. So there's definitely ways to look up stuff. And then obviously when somebody that 17-year-old, when he can't figure it out himself, that's what someone like myself is there for, to be like, maybe come in for a couple treatments. It doesn't have to be for a while, and just, get the pain down and just educate them and just kind of, you know, keep in contact with them. But then they're out on their own and now they feel, more confident in what they're doing in terms of their exercise.
Yeah, people like to talk a lot of like say a lot of negative things about like the phone, but like there's so much
Hmm.
you have to see the positive in it. Just so much
Yeah, you have
knowledge
to see the
at your
spot.
fingertips.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like there's so much access to information and a lot of great people out there putting out some good information. And I mean, I just try to, even on Instagram and stuff, I try to follow, physical therapists or strength coaches and things like that, or, professional athletes, and just, kind of be more in the know about it, or, be up to date on the research and stuff like that. But I mean, we all get sucked into just kind of scrolling and being on your phone, and hopefully not. I'm trying to not be on my phone like around with the people around me. Honestly, that's
Mhm.
that's the goal.
That's kind of why I
I
started
think,
this podcast because like I was sick of just like texting people. I want to talk to people, and it feels a lot.
yeah, I want to exactly. So yeah, so what do you like to do with the podcast after? Do you like to like post it to your stuff, or do you have a podcast platform?
Yeah, I posted to YouTube. Right now, I'm only on
Mm,
YouTube, and I'll post
yeah,
it on Facebook and then my Instagram stories. But I think I'm gonna start posting it on my personal Instagram, like the actual feed, so people can see it.
yeah, so people can see it. Yeah,
Yeah,
on all different.
stories
Yeah,
are
that's cool.
stories aren't like permanent, so I think I'm gonna start posting it to my personal Instagram.
Yeah, I like that too. Definitely. I think that's a good idea. I loved how you asked me to do a podcast. I was like, it's great to connect again, you know?
I just kind of look through and be like, who do I want to get to know more? And I just find people and I just DM them.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I think that's a great idea. I think like I honestly like I did a podcast last year with a baseball player, and then I did an Instagram live recently. And it's kind of nerve-wracking because you're never like once I get on here, I feel like you're like here and we're just like chatting. But then I'm like, it's funny because I feel like I need to step out of my comfort zone a little bit, and I've just been saying yes instead of no to people where I'm just like, okay, why not? It's just a
Yeah.
conversation, you know?
That's what Kevin Hart says. He's like, when you think about doing something, just say why not.
I literally feel like I that's what I need to continue to say. Like what's gonna be bad from it?
Especially like when we're like where you're so young, we need to just like be open to things.
I know exactly, and this is and it's funny because it's something that like someone told me once that I should like they were like you should post more of like yourself on Instagram on like my like professional
Mhm.
page. And I was like, like I like posting like my athletes more. But it is good for like people to see what you do. Like, you know, do I sit around and eat a lot of crappy food and don't really practice what I preach? So I think people like, you know, I'm trying to, you know, just be honest with what I do at home too. And share like and get on these kind of like podcasts and things too, just to like for people to see how I talk, and you know how they might connect with me in the future if they come to me for physical therapy or online training, or just you know connect just for questioning and things like that.
Yeah. Have you thought about like, I know a lot of people like, this is your living, right? So you don't want to
Hmm.
post just everything you do on Instagram, but have you thought about
Hmm.
YouTube? Because YouTube does eventually pay.
I have not thought about YouTube. I don't use YouTube that much, honestly, which I hate to say, but I feel like honestly, I feel like I'm on social media to like kind of like I guess market for myself as a physical therapy therapist. And so I feel like it is time consuming. I mean, it's freaking time consuming to make one story, you know, like it takes like 15 minutes or like a post or something, you know? So I feel like um I feel like it's great. I definitely will check out like your YouTube page and just kind of see like what it's all about. So we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I know they do like eventually, and they pay a lot as long as you're not like breaking the rules or anything.
Yeah.
Obviously, your field you won't be, but I feel like you could spread knowledge to people like across the country
Yeah.
and come to you, and you could still
Yeah.
eventually get paid for it. Like there's this girl on YouTube called Yoga with Irene. Her name's Ariana or something, and she
Hmm.
makes like a ton. She has like millions of followers, and she just posts yoga videos, but she makes like
Yeah.
over 10 grand a month doing it.
Right, just
Kind
by
of
doing it.
insane.
I mean, you can be compensated for what you love to do,
Yeah.
which that's why it's awesome with social media that people are being compensated for things that like they enjoy doing, which is great.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that that works out for you too, especially with, you know, with your photography and things like that. It looks like it's going well.
Yeah, I'm hoping it works out. Maybe it won't.
I think it will.
Definitely homeless.
No, that's awesome.
No, yeah. So when I
So,
was looking to fix my groin, because I
yeah,
obviously first I went like 2 weeks. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna keep trying to push through it. Wrestling,
yeah,
wrestling right after it was really obviously wrestling puts you in the worst positions, and that was really putting it on. So I just started searching around. I was fortunate enough to be able to, my insurance covered you. I found
yeah.
because I was working with professional boxers. I think that's how it led me towards you. But yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I was
yeah.
just kind of searching around social media and I finally found you guys.
Hmm.
I was like, awesome.
I
Okay.
know. I mean, that's like how we connect. You know, that's I love like just being referred by different people, like the boxer. You know, just finding on social media, and then it's, you know, once you get to us, it's like I don't know. We can make that common ground. I mean, even me and you coming from different backgrounds, like we still like we're still friends now. You know, like after probably a year and a half now. So it's great to connect, and I'm happy we can stay in contact in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. What did the COVID do to you and your job?
Honestly, with COVID, we definitely took a step back. We took like a step back probably for like a month or so and just like only had patients in the office that were like kind of post-op, honestly, who needed that care. And then we slowly started adding people back in more necessary, needed rehab more immediately. I mean, we go through all the CDC protocols with masks and we have like a form that people fill out. If they travel or things like that, they can't come in until they get a test, or just all different things that we are screening for. And honestly, we've been able to stay open this entire time, and I'm really thankful that both of my bosses have implemented those procedures. Honestly, that every athlete or every patient walks through the door needs to follow, including the employees too. So we honestly, like, with COVID, people were home and wanting to focus on them, and they had the time to then be able to come in and address the things that have been lingering. So we were able to start seeing people. We saw, our numbers eventually increase safely, though, because people could dedicate more time to it. They were working from home. They were doing school from home. They weren't. They were local, and they could come into the office instead of, they're only at school. We only see them in the summers. So it was great to address some things during that time period when, it was pretty boring, pretty low key, but we were definitely being safe during that time period, and kind of took a step back and then slowly increased it over time.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, I definitely am thankful that our company's small. And so it's definitely like a little like impact team family. So I'm happy that, they said, my bosses, definitely did not want to lay us off or anything like that, and compared to a lot of other physical therapy practices. So I'm really thankful that, we, we they put their employees first, and just kind of, said what their goals would be. And then, we all stayed together in the end. So, which is awesome.
Good. Well, where can people find you at?
So they can find me at my Instagram, is probably the easiest way. So it's at will underscore power underscore PT. So willpower PT. And then also my email is Shannon at impactsportspt.com. And then also at impactsportspt.com is the website, and you can check us out and then come there for any like in-person injury like evaluation, and just evaluation in general. And then also we do have online training, so throughout the whole United States, and actually I guess throughout the world, we can do online training, sports training. So that's available too. So either way, just reach out to me, and we'll get in contact.
Perfect. Oh, thanks for getting on. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashby. Ashby, it's good to see you.
You too. All right.
Okay. Bye.